I don't know how it happened, but we just may have uncovered one of the best implementations of PS4 Pro support to date. Warning, the following program contains video footage of someone playing Farming Simulator that has never played Farming Simulator. Hey, how y'all doing? Farmer John here with the Digital Foundry First. We're finally taking a gander at Farming Simulator 2017. Seeing as I come from Ohio, the land of farming, and now live in Germany, where you can find an entire aisle filled with simulator games at the local shop, this sure seems like a perfect fit. Well, you know what? I have to admit, there sure seems to be a solid game in here, and more surprisingly, this is a pretty good version of the game. After all, this feels a lot like a PC game to me, but with a nicely adapted interface and great readability, everything is surprisingly manageable here. But let's be honest here, the real reason I wanted to check this one out is the patch that was recently released for PlayStation 4 Pro owners. Oh, and the farming controller, you gotta have that. But you know what? They did a great job here, really. While most games have been pretty darn good on the Pro thus far, we've run into some issues here and there with titles that didn't quite make the transition all that well, and some that really fell flat. As of late, the Batman collection really sticks out. It's a pitiful upgrade, and not at all worthy of the PS4 Pro. Farming Simulator, though, takes an approach more similar to Rise of the Tomb Raider, by offering selectable modes right from the main menu. Okay, so this is hardly a stunning looking game, I know, but it works well enough and you get good image quality, right? So from the menu then, you can select here between 1080p, 1440p, and native 2160p. If you opt for 1080p mode, the game offers up an improved level of detail option as well. Let's go ahead and start there though first. Doing a little side-by-side action here, you can see that, well, there isn't a huge difference here. Now from this beginning spot, you can actually see a little bit of extra detail here in the distance, right? It's a subtle improvement though, but one that increases overall draw distance, which is always pretty good, right? Not a bad way to use the system, I suppose, but nothing revelatory. The 1440p and 4K modes are interesting then. The patch promises 60 frames per second output at 1440p, but really, both offer an uncapped frame rate. So how does it actually fare then? So let's start with a look at the performance in that 1440p mode then. Now most of the time you're going to be getting a very stable smooth 60 frames per second. You need that accuracy and reaction time for optimal farming, obviously, so it's good to see it here. But unfortunately it's not quite perfect. I came across situations like this where the frame rate drops just below the target, resulting in some minor judder. Now it's nothing too serious, mind you, but it's still not quite perfect. That said, 1440p seems like a pretty good compromise here, with a mostly smooth level of performance mixed with very nice image quality. Then we should talk about 1080p. The basic mode without the enhanced graphics runs at a rock solid 100% locked 60 frames per second, at least based on my experience. Spinning the camera around like a drunk person isn't enough to drop frames here. You can farm without worry. Using the enhanced 1080p mode though, we still managed to uncover a few hitches here and there similar to the 1440p mode. Again, it's still mostly very stable here, nothing to be concerned about, but a little bit surprising. So how about the base PS4 then? Well, this version only supports 1080p with the default detail settings, and based on the results we're looking at performance that's actually worse than any of the high quality Pro modes, so it's definitely not a stable 60 frames per second here on the base system. It's still playable of course, but it's clear that Pro users have a significant advantage here over base system users. Not bad. So how about the native 4K mode then? Well, this one is interesting. While the frame rate aims for 60 frames per second, it doesn't really get there in the end, and what we get is more like this. Lots of drops below the 60 FPS line. It's actually not too severe, mind you, and the visuals are quite crisp at this resolution, but clearly this mode does run a lot more slowly than the others, which is why I still think that the 1440p mode is the best compromise here. So that's really the key here. Farming Simulator gives players choice. Do you want higher resolutions? It's yours. How about high frame rates? No problem. That's what the Pro should be about, right? Well, there's just one little problem here, and it kinda bummed me out. Farming Simulator currently doesn't offer downscaling. So if you're rocking a 1080p display, well, you're limited to 1080p with the improved detail. In a game that offers so many options, I feel like this is a little bit of an oversight here, but considering how proactive the development team has been, it might not be an impossible ask either, so perhaps we'll see it in a future patch. Okay, so that's one downside for sure, and it's something we do take issue with, but there are some other cool points here to mention as well that go beyond the Pro itself. For one thing, this is a game that gets going very quickly. Once you load it up, you can button right through all of the company logos immediately and get right to the title screen. It's one of the fastest examples we've seen this entire generation, and it's something you don't necessarily think about too much these days, but it's nice to see. Then beyond that, the loading is quite quick for a game like this, and when you've been farming all day, you don't have time to wait for your virtual farm to load up, right? The whole interface is just fast and responsive really, and heck, you can even adjust the field of view and the HUD scaling while you're at it. Oh, and the game even supports mods. Seriously, if you want to throw a Mustang into your game, hey, go for it. Honestly, prior to this, I had wrongly assumed that games of this ilk might be somewhat unpolished and rough around the edges, but I'm happy to see that that's really not true. It works quite well. Now, yeah, it's true, this isn't the kind of game you might expect Digital Foundry to test, and it certainly isn't one I had on my radar at all, but you know what? This isn't half bad. I could see myself putting some time into this and figuring it out. In fact, my 5-year-old son was absolutely enamored with the game the moment I started playing. I handed him the controller and he started moving around without issue. It's the first time he's been able to master first-person controls at this age. In fact, he's the one actually controlling the game in the video right now. So I suppose this was a different kind of video for us over here at Digital Foundry, but we felt like it was worthwhile giving a shout out to the developers that delivered great patches for the Pro. Well done, Giants. Anyways, if you enjoyed this rather strange video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe, or even follow us on Twitter. And until next time, this is Farmer John, back off to the fields.